I love to be immersed in something that is semi-familiar. I just love it. I love differences in how humans react to the environment. To me, that's the red meat of life, really. I love that. This is where it all started. I came through into Guatemala through Belize in 1986. They were still at civil war. It literally changed my life and made me want to do this kind of travel and kind of work because of the amazing visuals, the cultural dynamics, the beauty of the place, the warmth of the people. It literally changed me, and it set me in the direction in the course I am today. That was just kind of the primer, the first experience in the developing world, and it was a positive one. As you can see, I'm back again. I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to do this story, but I was thinking about the children migrating to the U.S. now, because it is a big issue, and it is a very important issue. But I'm trying to pick out visual clues that'll speak to a subject, speak to an issue, or speak to the fact that we're in Guatemala and we're not in Yemen, for example. What is it that makes this place unique and different? What I'm looking at is, personally, is how does this relate to a story about migration? And in that case, okay, there wasn't a deep connection to the story exactly, except to show, for example, when women were washing clothes, the grandmothers and mothers and the daughters under 10 years old are carrying heavy water and helping their parents, showing how childhood in Guatemala is about work, and it's not easy. So that's what I was thinking of. I was trying to create the backdrop for why people want a better life and why it might be necessary to migrate. It's a matter of, I don't want to exploit the children, but if you can't see the situation, you can't understand the situation. So it's a negotiation in my own mind and my own conscience of, am I respecting the parents and the children as human beings, but how can I tell their story as well in an effective manner? I firmly believe we have to see in order to understand. There are two kinds of photos you can take. Now, if I'm face-to-face with somebody, of course I'll ask. It doesn't have to be, may I take your photo? I can, gesture non-verbally. Other times I don't want to, because we saw, I forget where it was, but at one point I asked one of the young men getting off the trucks that were returning from the fields. They were packed with 40 people. And he was shy. And he was a little bit embarrassed. You just saw what happens when you ask to take a photo. The whole scene changes. And so that can be quite disruptive, and it can create an artificial situation. You do both. I do portraits, and then I do others. We had two trucks. The first truck was completely good vibe. The second truck, I could tell by the way people were looking at me and us that they weren't real happy we were there. So I back off and see if it calms down. If it doesn't, we move on. And I think this is an important instinct to get. Confrontation is the worst thing you can do. I prefer not to use a telephoto. I prefer not to be too tight. I like people to get the perspective around them. I use a 35 all the time, so it kind of sees the way we do. So it's not that wide. However, what I like about it is you have to interact with somebody. If I want to get a portrait of you close, I have to be close to you, which means I have to respect you, and I have to respect your feelings about me being so close to you. When you're entering their world with a camera, they don't know who you are. So a lot of it for me is to try to disarm that distrust. What I do tell them is I say, look, in 2008, I did a story from Tapachula in the Tren de la Muerte, the train of death. And I tell them I'm from California and I've been along the border of Mexico with Tijuana, and I'm aware of how hard it is for them. And it is. It's really tough, and how it's changed, and how the cartels are involved. So I talked, I guess, first of all, I'm interested in the subject, so are they. And it also kind of shows that I kind of know somewhat about what's going on, the conditions, and how they've changed over time. And I'm really interested. I could talk about it for hours with them, actually. I just try to show respect, and you know, it also is about distance, and it's also about my body language. I like the people here. I want them to know that, and I want them to know that I'm not a threat, or I'm not, you know, sometimes as an American they think you're CIA or migra, immigration. I'm not undercover immigration. I'm just interested in them as one person to another. I will only know I'm finished when I feel like the person who's viewing the photographs can understand, or at least feel a connection, a human connection to the people in that photo. You have to show what's really going on, and if you can't show dramatically and in a strong manner what is going on, and you need too many words, I don't think it's a very strong story. So I think it's important to know the difference, I think. And sometimes we have to leave it to writers to do it. Sometimes writers can't tell a story as well as we can. We have to be there. We can't report from Beirut on Syria. We have to be in Syria, for example. So each has its own strengths, and we have to know the differences.